Can we talk for a minute? Okay, I don't want to be Tevin right now, and for certain I don't want to know any boy's name. But could we talk? I know it is a very sad time. We're dealing with a very, very expensive military machinery going into a commercial airline. So there's a whole lot of people now that are feeling sad. Persons who witness it, persons who directly and indirectly affected by it, families, parents not going home. Then we had freezing. This thing freeze and this thing freeze. Not even in New Orleans we had the snow, right in Washington, D.C. And right now, although I never experienced it, I heard about it. Children who grew up in homes where they were alcoholic parents or a parent or somebody like, for instance, who knows a stepmother, stepfather, whoever it is, because of mental issues, might have become drug addicted or alcoholism or whatever the case might be. That dependent child or children, they're in a iffy position. They don't know when the parent is going to do something, whether they're going to be nice or they're going to be ugly. So they had to develop skills in order to cope with that situation. And perhaps for some of us who never experienced it, we need to start seeking out people who might have. Ask them how they cope, because we are in that position right now. As a country, we run by people who could decide to do just whatever they feel like doing. But the beauty about this, although no one could see the beauty about it, and the good thing about them, no one can see it, is that they have been telling us for the last 8+ years, every fox waking moment, what exactly they're going to do. None of this isn't no surprise. We don't even have to go into the Bible to see if it's the end days. They've been telling us exactly what they're going to do. We have to move from that state where we are worried. We should know, because here, we could imagine the worst case scenario. And chances are we might be just in the ballpark. We might not even get it right. But it will be a starting point. I think we, as people who live in America, should move it from all the discussion about what the government should do, what Kamala should do, and whatever it is, and start bringing it to our dining tables. The parents and the children, get your face out to the phone and start having serious conversation. This is a moment for us to start planning. Not everybody need to leave the country. Not everybody would leave the country. Even if they said they're leaving, they don't leave. But you have to look at where you are. And as I said, you got the worst case scenario. How are we going to handle X, Y, and D? Get together. Let somebody go over. Okay, do not go to the house with your potato salad with raisins inside. You might not be invited again. And this is very important meeting. It's not like the cookout during summertime. Start talking with your children. If your parents, if you don't have children, you have brothers and sisters, your friends, whoever it is, guys, come together and start talking. Move away from, oh, well, he's saying they're doing this or the project, because it is simple, although not easy. You could expect the worst. You could literally expect the worst. So because you have that, you're at that level, and because you could summarize it with one word, worse or bad, it's easy then for you to start thinking about what we're going to do in this situation. If Medicaid gone, if it so happened that I get fired, what's going to happen to my retirement? We could have these discussions. If every home in America start having that conversation, then collectively, as we come together with things that might work with our family, then we could start sharing it on Facebook or calling another friend or whatever the case might be. You know what we said we're going to do? We're going to stop eating corn or whatever decision. They give the person an idea. We could do that. Why you stop eating the corn? Because of X, Y, and Z. And if we start doing it individually, collectively, we were able to make the change because the country is only a country because of all these individual people. If all of us isn't in America, it would have been just a spot of land, okay, with the native people enjoying fresh air and eating good food and not being slaughtered. But it wouldn't be on the map as it is. It is on the map because of all of us. And we could start doing it because there's so much things we could have done and so much we didn't do. Because this is over 36% of the voting population did not vote. So 36% of people think it gonna make a difference. I know persons who would say, oh, they're not into politics, which I find very amusing because if you're driving on the road, there's politics. The traffic light, the particular Starbucks that you like to go to, it is politics because its zoning laws allow that Starbucks to be there. So providing you're breathing, you're alive, politics is part of your life. Whether you're going to go on march or you're going to be on a live thing like me or you're going to write him on Facebook about it or not, there's different. But you're part of politics providing you're breathing. And another thing too, what people don't realize, America has grown so much that it influenced maybe nearly every area in the world. If you're out of America and you're in another country and you're living on US dollars, it's going to bother you. But everywhere is going to be influenced. So even if you think you're not in the fire because you're not there, you're feeling the smoke. And even the people that is living there, the ones that think, oh, it's not bother me because, oh, I'm not an immigrant, oh, I'm not gay, I'm not this, I'm not that or the other. Providing you're near to the fire, directly or indirectly, the smoke hitting you. You ever went to somebody's house who been cooking fish? In Guyana, we know that. Somebody who been cooking fish, they fry the fish, the little particles of oil in the air. And you go to the house. You don't even have to be there when it is frying. You walk in a half an hour afterwards and you sit down in the house long enough. When you come out, you smelling like fish too. And there's it. It's going to bother everybody. I don't know. As I believe, I know God has a plan. I know providing we lean on Him, He's going to see us through. Or something I know, reading the Bible, our Father participate. You know, God was the original person who flipped a table, not Teresa, Real Housewives of New Jersey. No, and in the case when he flipped the table, he could get a beat down. Whilst Teresa had all the producers and so wrong her, so she didn't get a beat down when she flipped the table. That could happen to Jesus, but you know what? He still do it because it was right. And even as believers, we can't suddenly separate ourselves from it. We have to think about it. We have to get involved. And as I said, not everybody can be like this. Start with your family. Start looking at it. If this X, Y, and Z happen, because it is possible. And then leave me to wonder. I know this might be a little touchy subject. This whole thing with whether we targeting or we not targeting, whether we're going to buy a Target or we're not going to buy a Target because we're supporting black business or we're not supporting black business. This is the first thing that crossed my mind. If you were a business that get involved with Target due to this minority or whatever it is program, imagine they had to have a program in order for these businesses to do right. So there's the first thing you got to look at. That means if there was a program for them to do right, that means somebody could end the program or change the program. What then is going to happen to you? When you went into that business, I don't know. I'm not a business owner. But when I say basic common sense, you go into something, if they're telling you based on sales, they're going to keep your business or whatever the case might be, sales you cannot control. There could be a next COVID. Anything else could happen. People could just don't like your product anymore. What was the conversations? You see, conversation don't need money. You don't need money to have conversation. You don't need money to have ideas. You get the idea and then you need money to put the idea into fruition or whatever the case might be. But what was the conversation about it? If not at this hour, and again, we got a preview 4 years ago. You had an idea, these people were saying what they're going to do forever. So you as a small business owner, a minority, with a black business owner, what was your plan? That now some is asking people to go against everything that they should not go against for, just to save a few business. And the thing about it, we can't. How much buying we could buy to save. And then the thing about it, when you're asking someone to do it, they might feel good today, but then, like for instance, based upon what happened with the helicopter and the crash, and people find out there's somebody involved or somebody is responsible, and they get upset now and they start buying, what's going to happen to your product? What was your plan? Like this, when I hear this whole thing and asking people to still support because the business have failed, the business failed because you didn't plan. There should have been something in place, because it is possible for this to happen. Every 4 years, there's a 50-50 chance of things is going to remain the way you want it, or it's going to change, because everybody got a side, right? So it might be my side this time, and then between 4 years, it could be your side. These things is not, as I said, not snow in New Orleans. It's not like even COVID. But even COVID, President Obama knew something would have happened and he was planning for it. But there's a not big international level. You at a personal level. This whole thing what's happening now is that it's not, shouldn't be surprising to us. Is it horrible? Yes. Is it scary? Yes. But it is not surprising, because we were told repeatedly, you got a business. What was your plan for a day like this? You know, I was listening to Pastor Sarah Jakes Roberts. Her sermon is Night Vision. And she said, you know why most businesses fail? Because they did not had a plan for worst case scenario. Everybody waiting to get $1 million sale or whatever the case might be. But they ain't planning for if things all hell break loose. And the thing about this, sometimes these things come as a surprise. But I say there's one good thing about the current administration. They were telling us forever what they're going to do. Did they change them? And even if when they change them out and say one thing, give them 5 minutes, you hear the truth. Or this one person said, no, you turn on somewhere else in the next hour, somebody say yes. It wasn't a mystery. If you know directly your business or your livelihood would be affected, what was your plan? You know, what was your plan? I know people get a not for me, but we supposed to support black business. Yes, I all for that. But then again, if things is in your face and you refuse to accept what's in your face, some of these people might be out saying it because, who knows, managers telling them they're supposed to say it. If that be the case and they have a plan, it's good for them. But if they're honestly saying that because they don't have a plan, this is very, very sad. Because this isn't something that should be a shock to us. As human beings, you feel hurt, but you're supposed to be no surprise. I think you find a blind man living in Timbuktu under a bridge who don't have no TV or anything, he would know. It ain't a surprise. We have to come back and start talking individual. I could remember putting up, I think might have been live like this or a video, where I said is that when we were talking about the last election, I said everybody looking at, oh dear, this body, Kamala, this, she didn't like she position, blah, blah, blah. It was a election of here. What is going to benefit my family? Everybody wants best for their family. What is going to benefit my family? And as you look at it from an individual place, then you could look out. And it's that we got to come back to. We could spend all our time talking about what they're doing and what they say and who in charge of this and what bad is going to do. It is simple, although not easy. Chances are it's going to get horrible. And then, how horrible in what area is going to affect you? Horrible in job, horrible in your social security, horrible if you're on Medicaid, horrible on if you get Meals on Wheels, horrible on if you get support with your light or your rent or wherever it is. Horrible in what way? And this is just where you got to work from. It's scary. It isn't easy. We will be asking to do something that we don't usually do. But there's the problem. Unless we prepare to pivot, we're in trouble. That was Pastor Torre too. We have to have a posture to pivot. And if we don't pivot, no. You see the thing about it, we been practicing, although some of us weren't practicing. We had COVID. Before COVID, we had, like the preview of this had started. We had too many things that really happen on a national and even some people in a personal state that we're supposed to learn from. And if we're not prepared to learn and we don't prepare for change and we just finding all reason not to do this and that and we trying to blame this body, it was Kamala, the Democrats, the Republicans, or whatever the case might be, we would be in trouble. To have a lot of things we cannot control and to have a whole lot that we could control. And even when we have the opportunity to control things, we don't do. Because if 36% of people didn't vote, they give up their control. But you know what? Every one of them is affected. If you're not directly in the fire, the smoke and still is going to get you. I think it's a time that we start having conversation. Put out your worst case scenario and then look at what you're going to do. Don't feel that you cannot do anything. You could. And if people start coming together as a family, come start with where it's going to burn the most. Come together. As I said, if you're a single person, you're on a family, you must got a friend. Come together and start looking at it and stop behaving like if we get surprised. We're surprised. We're supposed to know. We're supposed to know. The worst case scenario. This we start in block. The worst case scenario. And then move on from there. Okay, friends. I know we were supposed to talk for a minute. It might be 2 hours. We have to change the narrative. What worked for Martin and John Lewis and them would not work for us now. The same goal, but a different approach. And if we're not prepared to pivot on our approach, and we still want to operate like if it's Martin time, we're in worse trouble. We in a very, very bad state. It's time for us to pivot. If you are new to this channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. A returning subscriber or visitor, welcome. If this podcast or any of the other podcasts or videos on this channel is of help to you, please share. You know what? We have space. Why not subscribe? Turn on your notification button so YouTube will let you know when a new video is uploaded or a podcast. You got to remember is that this is a time for us to be prepared to make changes. It is not like old times. We have to apply a new approach to the same goal. So take care and have a blessed day.